Hi guys.
Afternoon.
Hi guys. We are here and we're going to talk about the new World Screwworm.
We are.
We were going to talk about Cushing's, but then we kind of figured that with this current event that people were really wanting to know this urgent information first. So we're still going to do Cushing's, but we're going to do that at a later date. It'll probably be next week.
Yeah.
But we've just had so many people asking me about the screwworm and how does it affect us and how do we protect our critters? Does it just affect horses? All the questions. So I thought that maybe it was time to we should address that since it's super important right now.
It is. It's a little bit scary.
It is.
What it's going to be doing to us. The good thing is there's some plans in place. There are some things we can do to protect ourselves, and early detection is the big one, and we'll talk about that. The New World Screwworm is a larvae. Mm-hmm. That is birthed or laid. The egg is laid by these little, really pretty flies. They're kind of orange eyes and this shiny green metallic body. They're kind of pretty. We all see maggots, right? Anybody that has anything to do with animals have seen maggots. The difference between these maggots and regular maggots is regular maggots eat dead tissue.
Right. And they've actually been used in medical for medical use for that reason in the past.
There is, you can
and still.
Yes, you can. And I have purchased sterile maggots. I didn't realize that was a thing.
You get dipped in alcohol before you get in the mail.
They're drunk. They're drunk pupa or larvae, but sterile maggots, and we've actually used them in wounds. The biggest one I've used them on is heel bulb lacerations. If I have one, because those are so deep,
and it's hard to get in those tiny places.
And if that tissue is dying, we use maggots to eat that flesh away and clean that wound up.
Right.
So I think maggots are actually pretty cool. I tend to not get super worried about them because they're doing their job.
Right.
The problem with this one is they eat live flesh.
Right.
And not only do they eat live flesh, their little bodies, they're this little worm thing, and they have these little spiky hairs. So as they burrow in, they're damaging all the other tissue around them too. So they're very, very damaging, and very, very scary because of it. Animals can absolutely die from these things. So that's the big difference,
right?
And that's why they're scary. We got the first case into the United States. I want to say a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right about there. I think it was in Texas.
It is, and I think last I read, there's 5 cases in Texas, and I believe 2 in New Mexico.
Yep.
It has not reached Oklahoma, but I was actually speaking with our state veterinarian, and it's going to happen. It's going to come to Oklahoma. We're going to see it. It's just a matter of when.
Right.
So we used to probably, or some of us, maybe not get so worked up when we saw maggots. Now we're going to. Now we're going to be super worried about this.
Because before, you only worried because they're only eating the dead tissue. Once there's no dead tissue, they're going to move on.
Yes.
Because the buffet is over.
Buffet is over. Yes. And the thing is too, these little guys can get in the teeniest of wounds.
That's what I was reading, like an umbilical cord.
Oh, smaller than that.
I was reading on one part that it was like in a horse's chestnut. Like basically the tiniest
little poke. Because the little fly just lays little teeny eggs in there, and these little things hatch out inside of you, which is just like a horror movie.
Right.
And then start eating your live flesh. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a podcast all on its own.
So let's see what we got all kinds of end of the world stuff happening.
We do.
Hopefully we'll see you next week.
yeah. Unless the screwworm gets us. Yeah.
You never know.
So we're going to take seeing maggots way more serious. And there's testing kits you can get.
Really?
OSU has them at ODL, the Oklahoma Oklahoma Disease and Diagnostic Lab has them available. And you can put the little worms in there and have them tested to see what they are. Again, there's not been a case in Oklahoma yet. So, but we don't know when that's going to be the first. Probably southern Oklahoma, but we don't know. So there's testing kits you can get. And one of the things they're recommending now too is if you're cleaning a wound that has maggots, to put a bag or a tarp or something under the animal. So we spray them onto the tarp so we can gather them up.
Right. So dispose of them so they're not.
Yeah, dispose of them, test them, whatever. But yes.
Okay. Awesome. Interesting.
So that's kind of the scoop there.
So I think one of the biggest questions I've had a few people ask me that I think is important for people to know. What all animals can this affect?
Any-
Because it's not just horses.
Any mammals.
So we could
Anything.
have them.
We could.
Yep.
Dog, cat. In fact, one of the New Mexico cases is a dog.
Interesting.
They're seeing it mostly in cattle,
Right.
but certainly horses. I mean, your emus, your goats, any mammal.
If
can,
it's a
can
living
be affected.
critter and it's got an opening.
And which is all
of us.
all I believe. So yeah, they found it. The umbilicus is a big one.
Yes.
Of course, any open wounds, these things will get in eyes, or
Wow.
if it's a mouth, rectums. That's a big fun place they like to go.
Right.
Vaginas, like you said, anywhere there's an opening, these little
Right.
guys will get in. And again, they have been finding these things with little pinprick, like a little, maybe like even a little burr,
Right.
poke ya, and then you get a screw.
Something that we wouldn't even look at as far as being a wound on our horse. That's the biggest thing to me. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, keep an eye on wounds. We normally do. That's what we do. We keep them clean. We keep an eye on them. But we don't think about those tiny little spots like, oh, it's a boo-boo. You're fine.
Yeah.
And in reality, you are. But those are the areas that we have to really watch with this thing, is those tiny things, because those are the things that are easy to miss.
Yeah.
And heck, these guys go out there and they find a way to get a hole in themselves on a daily basis.
They do.
Wrap them in bubble wrap, put them in a rubber room. It's not going to help.
The good thing is there's some, there's no prevention. There's some treatments.
Mhm.
One of the things has been talked about is ivermectin. Ivermectin is not doing the job.
Right.
They're finding some are sensitive to it, but most of the time it's not doing the job. Some moxidectin is doing okay, but we're talking more topical sprays. Catron's the big one. I've used Catron forever, and it is actually labeled for screwworms.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's a screwworm spray, and I used to get it, and I would always tell people, well, I know we don't have screwworms, but it's really good at keeping the flies away.
Right.
So that's what we always sell it for. And wounds, if I have a wound, even if I close it, I usually put Catron around it to keep flies away.
Right.
So now we're going to use that even more.
Mhm.
It's pretty cheap. You can get it at the feed store. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it online.
Nice.
It's like $9 for a little spray can.
Mhm.
So highly recommend you guys keep that in your arsenal. And if you see a wound, no matter how small it is,
Right.
or how non-invasive it is, I'd start using this stuff on it.
Okay.
I saw that there's 2 other products out there. I saw it on my phone that is supposed to keep this on, keep it away. Let me scroll through all the baby pictures. They're horse babies, not people babies.
Yeah,
horse
those
babies
are
are
not as
better.
exciting as people.
So there's a Claire bedbug, lice, and dust mite spray, which is a pyrethrin based, which I guess takes care of all sorts of issues.
Sounds like it.
Lice, mites, bed bugs.
Well,
but that is supposed to help with the screwworms.
very nice.
Looks like they're all pyrethrin based. There's a screwworm ear tick arsenal that Neogen makes. Not familiar with that one. And then the Catron, which we've been using forever and ever and ever. So those are the 3 recommended preventions or killing the little guys for the horses.
Mhm.
The other thing I read, and I was super excited about this, and I'm going to go back to dogs here because one of the products we sell in the clinic a lot of is NexGard Plus and NexGard Combo for the dogs and cats.
I use that on all of my dogs. I love that product.
As do
It's one of
I.
my
And
favorites.
we tout it more for heartworm prevention,
Right.
flea and tick prevention, but it
But if
prevents
it's keeping the bugs off,
it prevents the screwworm from happening. So
really,
they're using it now to prevent screwworm infection in dogs and cats, a product we're all using anyways.
right.
So if you're not familiar with NexGard Combo or NexGard Plus for your little animals, get familiar with it because that's the only one, as far as I know, that's FDA approved to prevent screwworms in dogs and cats.
That's awesome because, a little bit of prevention saves a lot.
Yeah.
What are the ways that we can just kind of stay on top of it? I think one of the things that's important to know is that this is not the screwworm is not, they called it the new World Screwworm, but it's not that new.
So we had a big outbreak back in the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
And it was really interesting when I was reading about this, how they have eradicated this in the United States, because that's what it was. It was eradicated.
Right.
So it's a reportable disease. So we've been watching for this to reoccur for the last 60 years. And one of the ways they eradicated it was by releasing sterile male flies.
Ah.
So these female flies mate one time and don't mate again.
Ah.
So if they mate with a sterile male, they have non-fertilized eggs. They have non-fertilized eggs, so they don't hatch.
Well, that's incredible.
Yeah, so we don't get the
so
screwworm.
Cool. Wow.
So these companies, there was so much detail to everything I read, but these companies are releasing like 50 million flies a day.
Wow.
Huge amounts of these sterile flies.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
That's very cool.
And that's how they got rid of it in the 60s and 70s, was doing that. Now, I was watching another video actually this morning, and it was a gentleman from some cow association. I couldn't even tell you which one it was. And he had come up with a fly attractant that they would eat and kill this particular fly.
Ah, okay.
I don't know much about anything other than what he was telling us, which he thought that the sterile male flies was a bit of a hoax, that he didn't think it was going to do the job. He thinks this attractant will do a better job. I'm kind of the mind, let's do it all.
Right. The more the better.
Yes, the more the better with these guys. So if we want to do the attractant that kills them as well as the sterile males, we need to do all of the above.
Right, absolutely.
So that was really interesting to me on how their plan, and this is the USDA, their plan to get rid of these flies.
I love that. That's super interesting. Yeah. And obviously it's effective because it worked once.
Yes. And they've been watching it. These third world countries have always had this. Dominican, Jamaica, Mexico, I'm sure South America.
Right. Like I had seen one vet that was from Brazil that had a long talk about it and sounded like down there was just another day at the office.
Yeah, I think they're used to it.
Yeah, it's just another thing.
So they've had it. We just got rid of it here. So now across the border, we're going to watch it. It will come here.
Right.
So take those wounds really serious, really serious. So we not only don't want our horses to die from tetanus, we don't want them to die from screwworms, because treating this is not hard. And looking, like you said, looking at these little wounds that normally we're not going to think about. Also, one of the things I've seen too is like, how they get their little weepy eye, and sometimes it gets a little inflammation. Those little guys like to go and lay eggs in there too. We've seen how other flies lay eggs in there, and these screwworm flies will also lay eggs in there.
So what are you doing to keep your herd at home safe?
We always try to practice the fly control, which there are so many out there. And
you're just taking the edge off.
And there's so many products out there too that the lights and the attractants and the sprays and all the things. I think all of it helps.
Right.
It's not going to be 100%. So we try those. I watched a video once on these. You can put these disco balls in your horse huts, like your sheds, and that keeps the flies out of the sheds.
Interesting.
So my horses like to go in the sheds kind of in the evening when the flies are really bad.
Yep.
So those little disco balls are supposed to keep them out. So, the fly traps, the fly, the feed through, fly detractants, the spray, all the things that we kind of do anyways because the horse flies, but just upping the game on that and taking that a little more serious, and then just watching again for those wounds. We have a lot of babies at our house too, and those little guys always like to get a little scrape or a little poke.
Something up all the time. Yeah. Yep. And to me, it's just hands on those guys every day, all over them, the whole body, just hands on. And some of the things that I've read is that they have a real distinct smell to them.
The fly?
No, I don't know if I think the larva, but maybe it's the damage that the larva causes. Okay. So I don't know.
What does it smell like?
So the thing I was learning on it smelled like a dead thing, like death.
Okay.
Which, kind of goes with maggots because you're normally eating dead tissue. Yeah. But that was one of the things that I saw was like something to be aware of is if you are around your horse and have that, and there's a smell.
Okay.
I don't know. For me, smells are one of those things that I'm constantly aware of.
Oh, yes.
You're constantly aware if you pick a foot, if it smells a little funny. Smells are to me, a huge indicator of, I'm always sniffing stuff that I probably shouldn't. But, and if you suspect, because here's what there's also probably going to be at some point a whole bunch of people pretty sure they have the screwworm when they don't have the screwworm.
Yeah.
What would be, have you found anything that's like real clear indicators of like, yeah, this is a screwworm and nothing else?
I think the big thing is looking at the little worm itself, the little pupa, and seeing the little hairs on it. I think that's one thing that sets them apart. But these things are really little, so I think that's gonna be hard for a lot. I mean, I know I'm gonna tell you with these eyes, wouldn't be able to do it. Would not be able to do it. I'd have to get the microscope out.
Right.
Again, I think if there's a suspicion, getting those kits from Odal and submitting them to have it confirmed, or catching the fly itself. The fly is more distinct because it looks different than our regular flies, as dumb as that sounds.
Yep.
But again, are you catching the right fly? I mean, we don't know.
Right, because we haven't seen them all.
Yeah, so they're saying more again to submit the larvae to have those looked at to see if. I mean, we have flies in here.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're not the screwworm flies.
No, that's just
but I think it's just a
house fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, but yeah, submitting those I think is the best answer, and not panicking. You know, this is very, again, like you said, Brazil, who has millions of horses, and Argentina and all these other, they survive. This is a
daily deal.
We just have to be cognizant of it and really watch our animals. One of the other things I've seen, you know, we all think wounds too, which it is, but I've seen dogs get covered, mostly dogs, get covered in maggots from a hot spot, or even matted hair where there's not actually entry into the dermis that's deep in the dermis. It's superficial, and maggots get on there. Yep. And we don't think of that sometimes. It's really superficial, but they'll go there.
Right.
So we got to really watch this stuff.
And my understanding, these flies are zeroing in on the smell of blood, basically.
Yeah.
So like one of the areas I would be really picky about is keeping those ticks and stuff off of those horses' ears.
Yes.
I mean, and the ticks are so miserable to begin with. Oh. But like everywhere that you get one tick bite, there's a little bit of blood. It's technically a wound, you know, and we just don't think of it that way because we think a wound is like, oh, we got to go to the vet and get this stitched up.
Yeah.
You know, versus like a little scratch that's just a boo-boo. Anything else you think it's important for us to know about this?
Probably, but I can't think of anything. I mean, I just think really watching for this and being proactive.
What is the, like, how detrimental is this genuinely if we're diligent and we catch it early, say that it comes into my barn and I get it on a horse? How deadly is this truly if we are on top of it and doing our job?
I think it's going to depend where it is. You know, one of the things we've talked about, we were talking about earlier, is the umbilicus on these babies likes to get targeted. Well, that's a hot spot anyways for these babies because that's how they want to get septic. Yeah. Infection likes to set up into there. So if we get these little, I mean, that could kill them quite, even if you catch it quickly, that could be detrimental.
Well, and those babies are so fragile.
They want to, die anyways. So that in that case, I'd be pretty concerned and be really aggressive and really watch that stuff. Dipping navels, which we need to dip navels anyways when they're born, with the Chlorohex. And I use the 4%. There's 2% and 4%. I use the 4% on my navels, or the really, really potent iodine, not betadine, iodine. And get that to shrink up. So taking those proactive steps. You know, if they catch a hip, I had a client actually text me the other day. He had a wound on a big hip of a 3-year-old.
Right.
It was 3 days old by the time he noticed it. We're not going to sew that up.
Right.
You know, he needs to keep it clean. If, God forbid, screwworms get into there, I think if we just catch them, it's a huge muscle mass. Right. If we catch them early, clean that up.
And it's an adult horse that's not already young and frail and thinking about suicide anyway.
Yes. As long as it's caught quickly, that'll be fine. So
that makes perfect sense.
You know, I worry about like eyes. I mean, we don't want to worry about losing our eye or a rectum. That's a pretty crucial area of the body.
Right.
So those are, I think it depends on the age. I think it depends on where it targets. It depends on how long it's been missed for.
Right.
So we just can't miss. I think your advice of hands on those horses every single day, just going over them, is a great idea. And anybody that has especially young things, those young things, yearlings, the yearling stud colt wants to paw everything.
Yes.
Those are the ones we're going to want to really watch.
Yes. Yep. They're just kids. They're going to get into shenanigans. It's what happens.
The other thing is cleaning out their feet also. It's much harder for those flies to get in wounds that are there. But if the horse is sleeping and his little foot's exposed and there is, and especially these yearlings, they like to lay down, or these weanlings, and that fly lays maggots in there, you're not even going to know. You're not even going to see it.
You know, I had actually seen, when I was doing a little bit of research and thinking about all of this, I had seen something where somebody had photos of a horse's foot that had the larva in the frog and in the heel bulb and everything. And that was exactly what they said.
Yeah. And that's scary because a person can only dig so deep in there before it starts to be detrimental.
Right. And there's so many tiny crevices, and like, be so easy to just overlook one little feller.
Yeah.
You know,
so easy. And that's where like your friend Catron comes into, you know, you douse that stuff with that spray there. If anybody needs a financial tip, I'm going to recommend that you buy stock in that spray, because people, we've always bought it, but this is going to they're going to sell so much of that because people are scared, and they need the appropriate product to treat this.
Right.
And that's where that spray comes in. It can get in those little crevices that we can't clean real well.
Right.
So, and it definitely gets them.
So I'm going to add one little short thing to this. Did you have everything? Was that everything?
That's all I can think of.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to add that we now are facing, with our borders being closed to livestock, about this. So this is affecting, obviously, kill pen horses, but ultimately I believe that this will affect horses across the board in a lot of ways. As far as our borders being closed, how do you feel like that's going to affect everything? I feel like it's one of those things, if it's closed for a week, it's going to be no big deal. If it's closed for 3 months, 6 months, it's going to change things. How do you, what's your perception on that?
You know, it's interesting that you said this, because I was reading something the other day, and honestly, it's probably one of the same things you read.
Probably.
And they were talking about that exact same thing. I think people use these kill pens to offload animals they can't take care of anymore.
Yep. 100%.
And if they don't have an outlet for that, and please don't take this as I'm pro kill horses, because
it's a mixed bag.
It is.
It's hard to have a real honest.
Yeah. I think I wished if I had my biggest wish, it would be here in the United States where we could regulate it. Put Temple Grandin in charge. It would be,
and let it be safe.
Yes, let it be safe. Let it be stress-free. All those things. But if we don't have a place to offload these animals, it's going to drive the horse price down.
Yep.
And we're going to be overrun with some of these horses that people can't get rid of. Right. And then there's the idea too of the cost of disposing these animals. If these people can't afford to feed them, they can't afford to get rid of them.
Right.
One of the things, a little shout out here, which I was unprepared for, but I will. ASPCA has a program that helps with this. You and I have both utilized this program.
Yes, we've been able to help people with this program. Yes. And horses.
Yes.
We've made a big difference in some people and horses' lives with this program. I agree.
And that's, so and I'm sure there's other ones.
There's a bunch
I'm familiar with.
But the ASPCA is great too, because it's nationwide, so it's not regional.
It is.
So it'll touch all of our people that are watching, just not our locals.
And what's interesting about it too is it's not super regulated like one would think.
Right.
They give it up to the veterinarian's discretion.
Yep.
So that's kind of nice. We can make our own decisions and help people without calling and getting permission and running the case by somebody. But anyways, I think we're going to have a lot of horses that can't get offloaded.
Yep.
I think these rescues are going to be more overrun than they already are, which is extensive.
Yep.
The kill lots are going to be full of animals they can't take across the border.
Right.
And it's definitely going to drive the prices down.
Yeah.
Which we've all been living in La La Land with. The price of horses has been really good for a long time.
Yes, it has.
Thank you, Taylor Sheridan and Yellowstone. But it's going to be a problem for us financially. And this is not a problem that's going to be solved in a week. This is going to be.
I agree. And so I think it's like something that y'all got to think about. Like, there's, again, like you said, this is not a pro or against slaughter conversation at all. But I know how I feel about my horses, and that's all I can control. But the fact is there's going to be, to me, I believe that the kill pen is nothing more than people providing a service that is, there is a demand. It's not what I would ever do. I couldn't do it. But the problem is that there's a demand. And that's where the problem stems from, to me. So that demand is not going away just because the borders are closed. And so I feel like I've seen some like, oh, yay, no more horses shipping. And yeah, yay, that is good. Other than now, where do they go?
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's relevant to think about the rescues and things like that at this time. You know, if you know of a good, reputable rescue, I'm really picky about saying that.
I agree.
Then now's the time to go and tell them, hey, we're here to help you.
Yes. Or donate.
Yep. And do your part if you can. And if you don't know of a good, reputable rescue, we're going to vet some of them for you guys.
We can get you some names for sure.
And we are going to do some stuff to make sure that if you guys want to donate and help these horses and these rescues, we're obviously, we can't go all over the United States and check them all. But if they're on our approved list, that means we vetted them and the money's going to the horses and it's not going to the people having fun. So, we're going to do a little bit of that too, just so that I think a lot of people want to help, but they're tired of getting burned.
Yeah. And there's these, certainly a lot of fly by night rescues. And I used to think getting a 501c3 was a little bit difficult, but I see how many people have done it and I don't think it's difficult at all.
No, no, it's not. Papers.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely going to affect our economy.
I think so too.
And it's going to also affect on, right now it's international shipping, but it's going to affect, I think, within the States also. Right. It's going to be a little bit trickier. We're going to have to follow the guidelines a little bit closer. We're going to have to make sure we have good inspections if we're going to start going across the state borders.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're just used to just throwing the horses in the trailer and jetting on down the road. And I think, heck, I've been hauling horses for 30 years. And I think I've had my health and papers and all of that checked maybe 4 times. Yeah. So yeah, they'll be a lot stricter on that. Yeah. And we need to do our part and get those health certs and
make sure our vet
not try to sneak across the border to save $40.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like, we can all do our part to help not spread this as much as we can.
Yes.
Well, awesome, guys. If you have any questions about this subject, please feel free to put them on the thing and we'll answer as many as we can. And thank you guys for your time. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's it. I'll probably peruse my papers and see what I forgot. But yeah. If any questions, just send them in. We'll answer them.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
have a great day.
Bye.